So you are thinking about making the move here to Tennessee, but you don't know whether you should move to West Tennessee or Middle Tennessee or East Tennessee. Well, that is great because today we are going to talk about West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee, and which of the three grand divisions of Tennessee is the best. Folks, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, working, and playing in the Nashville, Tennessee or greater Nashville, Tennessee area, then go ahead and click that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about the current market here in Tennessee. The first item we need to address when talking about the three grand divisions in Tennessee is going to be terrain. The terrain here in West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee varies, and kind of to an extreme degree. For example, let's look at East Tennessee. East Tennessee is considered part of both Appalachia and the western Blue Ridge Mountains and is home to the highest point in the state of Tennessee at 6,643 feet above sea level on Clingman's Dome inside Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, in contrast, let's look at West Tennessee. So West Tennessee is considered part of the Gulf Coastal Plain, a broad area that begins at the Gulf of Mexico and extends northward into southern Illinois. The area begins with low rolling hills in the east and gradually levels out as you move further west toward the western border of the state, with the lowest points barely touching 300 feet above sea level. It's pretty low in West Tennessee, folks. Now, let's take a look at my home, Middle Tennessee. So Middle Tennessee is going to be a healthy mix of steep rolling hills and what some would call mountains, as well as flat farmland. Middle Tennessee consists of part of the Cumberland Plateau with elevations ranging from 1,500 to 2,500 feet above sea level and transitions into the Highland Rim and Nashville Basin, where you will see elevations ranging from 1,000 feet above sea level up to only about 600 feet above sea level. So when considering a move to Tennessee, you really need to do your research as to which part of the state you want to move to and whether or not you would like to live on flat farmlands, nestled up in the mountains, or have a healthy mix of both. Now, let's look at the population growth of each of the three grand divisions. Starting with West Tennessee and its major city, Memphis, West Tennessee is by slight amounts less populous and smaller in land area than the other two grand divisions. And as of the 2020 census, West Tennessee had 1,557,649 inhabitants living across its 21 counties and making up about 22% of the state's total population, totaling around 146 residents per square mile. East Tennessee is going to be our second most populous, with its major cities Chattanooga and Knoxville, and is the most densely populated of the three grand divisions. As of the 2020 census, had 2,327,544 inhabitants living across its 33 counties and making up roughly 35% of the state's total population, totaling around 182 inhabitants per square mile. Now, Middle Tennessee is the largest in area and the most populated of the state's three grand divisions, with its major city Nashville, Tennessee. At the 2020 census, Middle Tennessee had 2,883,086 inhabitants living across its 41 counties, making up roughly 41% of the state's total population and totaling around 169 residents per square mile. Now, we all know that Tennessee is growing rapidly. Since 2010, Middle Tennessee has grown by 17.4%, East Tennessee having grown by 6.1%, and West Tennessee, surprisingly, actually decreased by 0.3% from 2010 to 2022. Now, let's take a look at the cost of living in each of the grand divisions. For this segment, we are going to look at the major metro areas for our numbers, and typically those numbers will vary a little as you move away from those big metro areas. But it's going to give us a good baseline of the cost of living in the 3 grand divisions of Tennessee when compared to the state and national averages. So let's go ahead and start in Memphis. So if you are looking to move to Memphis, your housing expenses, utility expenses, food and healthcare expenses, and the cost of goods and services are going to be 1 to 5% lower than the state average. Now, when we look at national averages, we see that all of these expenses are going to be 12% lower than our national average. So, looking at Knoxville, Tennessee, we see that our housing expenses, our food expenses, and the cost of goods and services are going to be 2 to 11% lower than the state average, while utility expenses, healthcare, and transportation expenses are 3 to 5% higher than the state average. In regard to the national average, we see that all of these expenses are going to be 14% lower than the national average. So living in Knoxville, you can actually save a pretty good chunk of change. Moving on to Chattanooga, we see that our housing, food, healthcare, and transportation expenses are going to be 2 to 15% higher than the state average, which does sound scary, but when we look at the national averages, we see that our expenses in Chattanooga are still 7% lower than the national average. So again, a little scary on the front end of things, but you can still save some money living in Chattanooga. The last on our list is going to be the most expensive, and of course that is going to be Nashville, Tennessee. Across the board, the cost of living in Nashville is going to be 10% higher than the state average and only 2% lower than the national average. To wrap that up, let's look at the average cost of living in the state of Tennessee. It is going to cost you, on average, $42,469 a year to live here in Tennessee. Expect to spend, on average, $828 to $1,477 per month for housing, whether you're renting or you've bought a house. Average utilities are going to cost you $389 per month, while groceries and food will cost $251 per person per month. Healthcare is going to cost on average $6,946 per person per year, and child care on average will cost you $899 to $1,398 or more per child per month. So folks, that is going to wrap up our video for the day. I hope that this has given you an idea of which division of Tennessee would be the best fit for you and your family. And remember folks, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a personalized Zoom call with us so that we can help you make a smooth move here to Tennessee. Until next time, I hope to see you around town soon.